Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, only 3% has come to class so far. So, but because we cannot wait for them, please let me start chapter. But I want to review the last chapter because a small part of this chapter has remained. So I have to review quickly. From beginning of chapter, and when we are reviewing the chapter together, and the rest of the students will come to class. Okay, as you remember, I told you sometimes operation management in each company has have encountered to making decision about selecting a proper subject, a proper project in company. So it is very hard to choose the best projects among all options that have that they have faced to them. So there are some tools that can help to operation managers in order to making a best decision. As you remember, I told you the making decision can be done based on uncertainty or risk. If operation managers want to make decisions based on uncertainty, there are 5 tools that can help them. We discussed about these 5 tools together. I told you the decision making tools are the quantitative methods that can be defined as a set of tools for operation manager. So these tools are not things except a quantitative mathematical methods that can be used by operation managers to choose the best option or projects among a list of the projects that they are requested to choose one of them. Before discussing on these tools, we defined some concepts. If you remember, one of the concepts was the state of nature and also uncertainty situation and risk situation. I told you if you want to make decision based on uncertainty, you should choose its own method. And if you want to make decision based on risk, you should use another method that we didn't discuss last week. And today I want to teach you the rest of this chapter, that is making decision under risk and discuss together its formula and its content. So as a review, I define a state of nature again for you. A state of nature is called events that may occur in the future. For example, high or low demand for product, good or bad economic condition, poor foreign competitive condition, or good competitive foreign condition, and something like this. These events are called a state of nature. You as operation manager have to select a state of nature before making decision. It's up to you, okay? It's up to you, and it depends on the project and the situations that you want to make decision. They are determined based on your experience and based on the activity of your company, service company or manufacturing company, and also the experience that you have gained during your work in company. So all of them help you to choose them and define the state of nature for your decision. When you determine the state of nature for your decision, after that you should identify that you want to make decision under risk or under uncertainty. If situation is uncertainty is not clear for you, you should select the decision-making tools under uncertainty. That if you remember, I told you there are 5 tools for decision-making under uncertainty. But if you want to make decision under risk, there is only one formula or only one approach that helps you to make the best decision. Decision making under risk is probability can be assigned to occurrence of the state of nature in the future. If you succeeded to assign or allocate a probability to each of the states of nature in your decision, you can select them decision making under risk. For example, you are sure based on your experience that the state of nature happen by probability of 70% or 60%, 50%. But if you don't calculate or allocate probability to each of your states of nature, it's better you make decision under uncertainty because you don't know. You cannot calculate the probability. The situation is not clear. The situation is uncertainty. It's vague, you know. So it's better you make decision under uncertainty. That are 5 tools. You are requested to provide such a detail that some items such as the state of nature and decision and also the payoff should be all of the tools are important. You must use all of the tools. You must use all 5 tools. If you remember, I told you at first you use the all of tools, and after analyzing 5 tools, you should consider which decision has been selected by the most of tools. These tools tell you which decision is the best. If 3 or, for example, 3 or 5 tools out of 5 tools tell you, for example, the decision 1 is the should be selected, you should select the decision or project 1. So you must use or employ all of the 5 tools, and after that you should see which decision has been selected more by these tools. We cannot say which tool is more important. All of them are important and you must use all of them. So before that, you should list all of the projects in this table, and after that you should select your state of nature. For example, you want to make decisions based on economy. You want to make decisions based on competitive market. You want to make decisions based on demand for your company. You should cooperate to other managers. You should consult with other managers, with president of company, and then based on your experience, select the state of nature. And after that, the marketing manager can help you to predict or forecast the payoff or result for your each decision. And some items can help you to guess or forecast the payoff for each decision for each of state of nature. Payoff means the return of the decision. Is the money, for example, US dollar, Afghani, Real, and something like this. This is the profit. This is the return, You can get the payoff for each decision, and then by use of this tool, you can select the best decision. Okay. If you remember, I told you the MINIMAX, MINIMAX, MINIMAX regret, and horse and equal likelihood or Laplace are the 5 tools that can help you make best decision under uncertainty. MINIMAX was the maximum of maximum. The MINIMAX tools tell you select the maximum of maximum. For example, imagine there are 3 decisions or projects in one of the company as named the Southern Textile Company. In Southern Textile Company, it's an example. And all of the figures, all of the quantity are example, are not real. For example, the president of company has raised 3 decisions for his or her company: expand, maintain, and sell it. But he don't know which decision is the best. He asked the operation manager, by use of these tools, tell him which decision is more profitable for company: expand, maintain, or sell it. Operation manager examines the situation based on the foreign competitive condition. He tells the president it's better we examine the situation or we calculate based on the foreign competitive condition, because it is the foreign competitive conditions that can help us, that can tell us which decision can be very good and can be the best in this situation. So they select a state of nature based on good foreign competitive condition or poor foreign competitive condition. He checks if the foreign competitive condition is good, the profit for company in expand is 800,000 US dollars. But if the foreign competitive condition is poor, the return for company when we select expanding for our company is 500,000. But if you want to select the maintain, in good foreign competitive is 1,200,000, but in poor foreign competitive we lose, and there is no profit for company. We lose 550,000 US dollars. And if you want to sell, we can sell it with price of 320,000. Okay. By use of the MINIMAX solution, we select the best decision. MINIMAX says the maximum of maximum. He said at first for each decision or for each project, select the maximum among two states of nature. Okay. Among two states of nature, for expand, the maximum is 800,000. For maintain between two states of nature, the maximum is 1,300,000, and in sales there is no difference, 320,000. When you select the maximum for each decision, at the end we should select the maximum of this maximum. Among 800,000, 1,300,000, and 320,000, the maximum one is the 1,300,000 US dollar. So you should select the maintaining the machinery and equipment. The MINIMAX tool tell you is the best decision, but we have to consider the rest of the tools. The maximum is the maximum of minimum. Maximum of minimum means at first you should select minimum, and at the end you should select maximum. If you want to select the minimum between two states of nature for expand, the 500,000 is the option. In the maintain, the minus 150,000, and in sale there is no difference, 320,000. Between these, you should select the maximum. The maximum among these three numbers is 500,000. That is for expanding decision. So the decision based on maximum is expand. The MINIMAX regret. Regret is nedamat. So we should minimize the regret for company. These tools help the company, the operation managers, at first in each state of nature. For example, in good foreign competitive condition, select the maximum number in the column. In the column of the good foreign competitive condition, among these three decisions, select the maximum number. The 1,300,000 was the maximum number. Then you should decrease each of the number from the maximum number. So we do it like this that you see. 1,300,000 minus 800,000 equals 500,000. 1,000,000 minus 1,000,000 equals 0. 1,000,000 and 200,000 minus 320,000 equals 980,000. And we do the same for poor foreign competitive. In column of poor foreign competitive condition, among these three decisions, the maximum number was 500,000. So we decrease each number from the maximum number. As you see, the 500,000 minus 500,000 equals 0. 500,000 minus 150,000. The minus should be considered here. And 500,000 minus 320,000 equals 180,000. Now, by use of the MINIMAX. MINIMAX means the minimum of maximum. So we have to select at first maximum among its new result. For example, in expand decision between 500,000 and 0, because we have two new results now for expand, 500,000 and 0. if you see in the row, in the expanding row, ROW, expanding row, 500,000 is good finding competitive condition, is new result for expanding, and 0 is poor finding competitive condition in new condition and new result for expanding. Between 500,000 and 0, the maximum is 500,000. In the maintain, between 0 and 650,000, maximum is 650,000. And between 980 and 180 for selling, 980,000 is maximum. Among these three maximum that has come out, we should select minimum number. 500,000 is minimum number. This is the process of using these tools. These tools have been devised or have been designed by previous researchers that they have discovered these tools based on trial and error, based on experience, and based on research that they have done earlier. So we use these, and we use the previous research experience to select the decision for our company. So we should say thank you to previous researchers that have designed and have discovered this formula and this process for us. Howard's criteria. In Howard's criteria, we should select one optimism coefficient. Optimism means خوشبینی. For example, if your optimism to good finding competitive condition less than poor finding competitive condition, based on your experience, you can allocate the 0.3, the number of 0.3 to alpha, and for good finding competitive condition, and for poor finding competitive condition, this result and this number is 1 minus alpha, because the sum of two states of nature should become and should be equal to 1. If you allocate the alpha equals 0.3 to good finding competitive condition or poor finding competitive condition, in order to calculating the alternative states of nature, you should use this formula 1 minus alpha that determines that or that calculates the coefficient optimism for another state of nature. For example, operation manager in this company, in Southern Textile Company, based on his experience, has allocated alpha equals 0.3 to good finding competitive condition. So the poor finding competitive condition become 1 minus alpha equals 0.7. So you should multiply each of these number to its own state of nature. For example, in expand, 800,000 is in good finding competitive condition, so should be multiplied by 3.0, and 500,000 in expand decision belongs to poor finding competitive condition, so should be multiplied by 0.7. If you calculate this, the result will be 590,000. In maintaining, do the same, and instead do the same. When you calculate all of the results, you should select the maximum number. The maximum number here is 590,000 that belong to expand. So you should select expand. In the equal likelihood criteria, you do the same as Howard's, exactly the same as Howard. But as you see, the title The name of this tool is equal likelihood. Equal likelihood, it means you should allocate the equal number to each of the states of nature. Because we have two states of nature, so each state of nature are allocated 0.5. If we had three states of nature, we had to allocate the number of the 0.3 because they should be equal. So because we have two states of nature here, we have to allocate 0.5 to each of states of nature. In mating, if you multiply 800,000, multiply 0.5 plus 500,000, multiply by 0.5 equal to 650,000 US dollar. In the mating, we do the same, and in selling, we do the same. So, at end, we select the maximum number, 650,000. So, that belongs to expand. So, we have to select expand. If you be careful about all of the 5 tools that we considered, 4 tools out of 5 tools voted to decision of expand, and only one tool, the first tool, MINIMAX, told the maintain is the best. Then 4 tools out of 5 tools are saying you that decision is expand, so we have to select the expand for your company. This is the tools that you should use under uncertainty. Now, the rest of the chapter that we didn't discuss together last week. Decision making with probability or under risk. With probability means under risk. Risk involves assigning probability to a state of nature, expected value. Expected value is a formula that is used in order to calculating or analyzing the decision to select the best one. Expected value means a weighted average of decision outcome in which each future state of nature is assigned a probability of occurrence. If you can calculate a probability of occurrence or happening for each of the states of nature, it's better that you use the expected value formula that is used in decision making with probability or under risk. So let's consider and let's examine this formula together. This is the formula that is used by operation managers for making decisions under risk. EV means expected value equals sigma p xi multiply x and this I. Xi is outcome I, is payoff I, okay, and p xi is probability of outcome. At first, have a look please at this formula to give an example to you. Okay. Let's back to previous example that we just considered for making decision under uncertainty. We use the same example for under risk, for considering making decision under risk. Okay, operation manager based on his or her experience can allocate or can assign one probability to each of the states of nature. For example, operation manager says the probability that good and competitive conditions occur or happen is 70% or 0.7. And if the probability of the poor and competitive condition occur for us is only 30% on or 0.3. Okay. Then he or she calculated, or for forecast the probability for each of the states of nature. Then he or she used this formula, expected value, to calculate expected value for each decision. Expected value for expand is 800,000 multiplied 0.7 because the probability of the good fine competitive occur is 70%. Plus 500,000 multiplied 0.3 equals 710,000. Expected value for maintained is 1,300,000 multiplied 0.7 minus 150,000 multiplied 0.3 equal 865,000, and expected value for selling decision is 320,000 multiplied 0.7 plus 320,000 plus 0.3 equal 320,000. So among these three results, the maximum number is 865,000. So decision making with probability or under risk tell the operation manager it's better select to 800 maintaining the status quo, because here the risk has been considered. The operation managers don't want to take the risk to expand or sell. The considering risk suggested to operation managers to maintain the current machinery and equipment and reuse them in current situation, and don't spend extra money. So by use of the expected value under risk, and if operation managers are able to predict the probability and they want to make decision under risk, they should select the maintaining decision. Okay. Each chapter has completed and finished. Each chapter has completed and finished. Okay, any question? Okay. And did you receive my email on Saturday? I sent email to all of you. Did you receive my email? Hello, everybody. Are you at your desk? Are you available? Okay, because nobody answered me. Did you receive my email 3 days ago? If anybody hasn't received my email yet, please let me know, okay? Please send to me email. If somebody has not received my email, please let me know. And send an email to me to reply him and send the material for him or her. Okay, Mr. Qiyasi, Mr. Hamid Qiyasi, please send to me email, okay? Send to me email to remember me, to remind me. I'm writing for you my email. Okay, my email is sabermirza@gmail.com, as you see in chat frame. Listen to me, email to remind me, and I reply you. Okay, thank you. Okay, the chapter has finished, and now I'm going to start a new chapter. But before that, I want to talk a little about the case study that I sent to you. If you have received my email, please study case study for next week. We will discuss. Okay, no problem. If you please study the case study for next week, we will discuss together, and we will assign 10 minutes or 15 minutes to discussing on this case study. And please, okay, thank you. And please answer the exercise number 2 in the Word file that I send you. I send some exercise in one file Word, Microsoft Word file. There are 3 or 4 exercise. Please do exercise number 2 that is related to operation making decision, and send to me email your answer. Okay, your answer please send to me email by Friday. Deadline is by Friday for answering to exercise number 2. Exercise number 2 has one of the assignment is one of your assignments that you have to answer it, because it is considered in your final mark, final score. I repeat again. Please answer to exercise number 2 that I send you email through email, and send me your answer in Word file by Friday. If anybody don't this, he or she will lose its score. Okay, inshallah. What do you mean, Mr. Qiyas? Mr. Qiyasi? What do you mean I send you a text message to my email? If you think the time is short and you cannot do this exercise by Friday, okay, no problem. I can give you more time. Okay, by Tuesday next week. Okay, by Tuesday next week is okay for you. Okay, you have 1 week time. Okay, you have 1 week time to study case study and do this exercise. Okay, no problem. Okay, sure. Okay. So please let me upload the new chapter. I will send you. I will send you the new chapter, the PowerPoint. Um, I will send you the new chapter for you. Okay, don't worry about that. The new chapter is about is about topic of forecasting, and also it is very nice and very useful chapter. Okay, sure. Um, as I told you, if somebody has not received my email, please send email to me to remind me through this email that I reply to you. Okay, I wrote my email again for you. sabermirza@gmail.com. If anybody has not received my email 3 days ago, send to me email to remind me that I can reply him or her and send back and resend material for him or her. Okay, please let me upload the new chapter. Okay, operation management chapter 4, forecasting. Very nice and easy chapter and very useful as well. So, before starting this chapter, I want to ask you a question. Who knows what is the meaning of forecasting? Who knows? Who knows what's the meaning of forecasting? If anybody wants to talk, please let me know to pass the microphone to him to talk. What's the meaning of the forecasting in operation manager? Mr. Nabi, do you want to talk? Okay. I pass my, okay. I hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Nabi. How are you?
Thank you, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And we are waiting for your.
Good evening, dear classmates and dear sir. And yes, forecasting in operation. I just say that to estimate ahead of doing the operation, the actual making the planning for the operation is part of the forecasting for the operation, is preparing, understanding what should be done, and mobilizing the resources, organizing the activities.
Very good.
Yeah, these are some of the things that we can say that to be prepared for the contingencies when the operation is going on a, for example, crisis situation of a business crisis or something happens wrong. What should be done? So it's basically the planning, organizing, the human resource management, all the management mobilization and resource mobilization, and controlling, and these fundamental principles of managers, what to do. So controlling and giving feedbacks and so on. So this is the actually it is a kind of estimation of all the things, but based on the real facts and figures, the exact facts and figures that would be applied to understand in reality what will happen if we do these actions or activities in order to achieve the specific goals, objectives we set for kind of company or
Navigate and supply and everything like it. If each company, especially the service company, can forecast or can estimate demand and something like this for future, they can organize their activity better and they can decrease their cost considerably in comparison to situations that they don't forecast. So in order to better planning, in order to better organizing, they should forecast the demand in the future. For example, next month, 2 months later, 3 months later, next year, 3 or 4 years later. They can plan and they can organize better, and as a result, they can decrease their cost. So there are some tools that help the operation managers to decrease to estimate or forecast. Before that, please let me explain a little about some concepts about forecasting. Forecasting means the process of predicting a future event. For example, predicting the future demand for your product. Underlying the basis of all business decisions. So this is underlying basis of all business decisions. So it's very important for managers' decisions to forecast at first and then make decisions about the number of production, about the purchasing the raw materials, and something like this. So the forecasting can help in every field and every part in company, in production, in inventory, in personnel, and in facility. If operation managers can forecast, they can better decision. They can make better decisions on production, on inventory, on personnel, or staff, or on facility. So by use of forecasting, for example, operation managers know better that how many personnel and staff they can employ and how many machinery or equipment they should provide or they should purchase, and how many units they can produce and keep them in stores to sell it immediately. So forecasting can be taken place based on 3 time horizons. Sometimes the operation managers want to forecast in short range forecast, in short range or short time. So based on the time horizons, Sorry. Based on time horizons, we have three forecasting. Short range forecast, up to 1 year, generally less than 3 months. If you forecast your case, less than 3 months, for example, for next month, 2 months later, or 3 months later, the maximum 3 months later. This is called the short range forecast. The short range forecast is up to 1 year, and also 8 months or 9 months can be placed in short range forecast. So, for example, in issues like purchasing, job scheduling, workforce level, job assignment, and production levels, the operation managers select the short range forecast. Medium range forecast is forecasting for 3 months to 3 years later. This is called medium range forecast. For example, in decision in issues like sales and production planning and budgeting, operation managers select a medium range forecast. And if you want to make decision about the new product planning, facility location, research and development, they should use the long range forecast. That is the 3 years above. For example, 4 years ago, 4 years later, 5 years later. It is called long range forecast. That in some cases, such as new product planning, research and development, they should do this forecasting, long range forecasting. The type of forecast. Economic forecast. Economic forecast address business cycle. It considers business cycle, inflation rate, money supply, housing starts, and something like this. Technological forecast. Predict rate of technological progress, impact development of new products. And in demand forecast, they should consider the predict state of existing products and services. So, for anything such as economy, technology, and demand, and something like this, operation managers use the act of forecasting, practice of forecasting. There are 7 steps in forecasting. At first, you should determine the use of the forecast. You should ensure yourself that you must use the practice of forecasting. After that, if I want to give an example for any type of a forecast, for example, in economic forecast, you can consider item of inflation rate, for example, in economic forecast. Managers should be aware about them. You should forecast the inflation rate, for example, next year or 2 months later, 3 months later. You should forecast the inflation rate. For example, you should know how much inflation rate increase or decrease. When you know this, you can determine the policy of pricing for your product. Okay, so it is necessary that you forecast the economic issues such as the inflation rate. In technological forecast, you should be aware and you should forecast the technological progress. For example, in which rate, in what rate the technological is advancing, technology is progressing. You know, when you forecast this progress rate, you can make better decisions based on items such as purchasing the new machinery or new product. And in demand forecast is necessary for all of the company forecasting and service company to forecast their demand for next month, 2 months later, 3 months later. For example, they can forecast how much, how many units, for example, how many units they should produce, for example, next month, 2 months later. How many units customers will place order 2 months later, 3 months later. If you know the demand and if you forecast the demand, you can purchase the raw material on a right quantity and you can arrange better to produce product based on good quantity, and you can prevent to extra production that can incur cost for your company. Okay. Let's step in forecasting. At first, determine the use of forecast, then select the items to be forecasted. For example, demand. For example, the inflation rate. The items that you want to forecast. Is it technological, is it economical, or demand? Then determine the time horizon of the forecast. You want to forecast for short range. For example, you want to forecast it 3 months later, 5 months later, 1 month later, next year, and something like this. The fourth step is select the forecasting model that we will discuss together now. Then gather the data. For example, you can gather the data through email and through internet, through newspaper, through magazine, through questionnaire, and then you can make the forecast. And the last step is to validate and implement result. That means you can make the decision based on the data that you have gathered based off the forecasting, by forecasting. So there are 7 steps in forecasting. Determine the use of the forecast, select the item to be forecasted, determine the time horizon, select the forecasting model that we will discuss now, gather the data, make the forecast, and then make the better decision or implement result. Forecasting approach, qualitative methods. In order to forecasting, there are some tools that can help you. For example, qualitative methods are used when situation is vague and little data exists. For example, new product and new technology. Sometimes you want to forecast about something, about a new product, because this is the new product and they haven't come to market yet, so you don't access to enough data. Because this is a new technology, you want to forecast about the new technology because it hasn't come to market yet, so gather data means the collecting data. Okay, gather data means collecting data. For example, you can use the historical data that you have about your sales in previous months. For example, in previous months, in the last month, You sold, for example, 300 units. 2 months ago, you sold 500 units. You should check this data, okay? And then for forecasting in future, you should select the previous data, historical data that you have kept. And sometimes you want to forecast the inflation rate. For example, you can use the magazine and the newspaper, and you can go to exchange organization. Okay, that they are the example for this. In the qualitative method, it involves intuition and experience, because you don't access to enough data. You should be smart. You should use your tact to forecast a new technology or new product. It's a little hard. It is very hard because the little data exists in market. You don't access to them because this is a new product. The product is new. The technology is new. It hasn't come to market yet, and so you don't have the access to enough data that you want to use for your forecasting. So the manual should be very smart. Should be very clever to forecast in this situation. But if you access to historical data, if you access to or the situation is stable, in this time you can use the quantitative methods, and it's very easy and it's not hard because this is not a new technology. This is not a new product. For example, demand. You want to forecast demand for next month, for 2 months later. Because you have access to historical data in your company, you can use the quantitative method for your demand in the next month, 2 months later. If you see the use when the situation is stable and historical data exists. Historical data means the data in previous months, in the earlier months, that is used for existing products that you are currently producing and current technology. Just you want to forecast the demand for your customer, and you want to how many units your customer will order next month, 2 months later, 5 months later, for current product, for current technology. The situation is stable and the economy is stable. The inflation rate is stable. There is no fluctuation in inflation rate in situation and economical situation. If everything is stable, and if you want to forecast the demand for existing product, for current product that you are currently producing, you can use the quantitative method. For example, forecasting sales of color television for next month. Your company currently is producing color television. For example, you are working in Sony or Panasonic, and you are producing the LCD or plasma. In previous months, you sold, for example, 3,000 set color television. 2 months ago, you sold 5,000 color television. By using this historical data, you want to get or forecast the demand and sale or sale for 2 months later, next month, 3 months later, for short range. Okay. One of the tools that can help you in demand is forecasting demand is moving average method. Moving average method is very easy. It is called MA. MA or moving average is a series of arithmetic means used if little or no trend, and used often for smoothing to provide overall impression of data over time. It's very easy method that is used by operation managers. Moving average formula is this was given in previous end period. Previous end period means, for example, previous 3 months ago, previous 5 months ago, 6 months ago. N means the number of the months that you want to use. But the standard for moving average is 3 months and 5 months. So the N takes only two forms, 3 or 5. Given in previous 3 period or 5 period. This is a standard. Or you can use the other months, no problem. But in a standard, if you see in the book, if you study through the book, you can see all of the example and all of the forecasting in moving average, based on moving average, is being done based on 3 months or 5 months. For example, let me give you an example to you. Okay. For example, in January, in January, your company sold 10 units. In February, your company sold 12 units. And in March, your company sold 13 units. You want to forecast for April based on these 3 months. It's enough you sum the previous 3 months together and divide by 3. 10 plus 12 plus 13, you should use the average of these 3 months. So this is called the moving average. Moving average is 10, 12, and 13. Okay, 10 plus 12 plus 13 divided by 3 is about 12. This is 11 2/3. That is about 12. So you forecast in the April you will sell or you will have demand about 12 units. After determining the April, you can use for May. If you want to forecast for May, you can use April, March, and February. If you want to make forecast for June, you should select 3 months ago, May, April, and March. And for July, you should select and you should use the 3 months ago, June, May, April. So after forecasting, you can make decisions, and when the months finish, at the end of the month that you forecast before for it, you will know the real or actual sale. For example, for April, please see and look at the April. Okay, you forecast for April about 12 units, but April come and finish. At the end of the April, you sold 16 units. 16 is near to 12, but it's more units more. 4 units more. 4 units more you sold in comparison to your forecast. You forecast in April you will have 12, but you sold 16. The first column is actual sale. So we have error. In any forecasting, don't forget we have error. Error is defined difference between forecasting and actual or real quantity, real number. In the May you forecast you will, for example, you forecast you will sell, for example, you forecast you would sell about 14 units, but May come and finish. At the end of the May or the 1st of June, you see that you sold 19 units. While you forecast for May, it should be 14, about 14 units. So we have error. You sold 5 more units. So in the moving average, it's better for demand in the short range. For example, in service companies such as the restaurant and such as this method can be useful. We have 3 months moving average, we have 5 months moving average. In 5 months, you should sum the 5 months ago. For example, you have historical data in 5 months ago, and if you want to forecast for 6 months, the month of 6, you can use the 5 months ago and sum the 5 number and divide by 5, not 3. If you use the 3 months moving average, you should sum the 3 months ago and divide by 3. If you want to 5 months moving average, you should sum 5 months ago, the previous 5 months, and then divide by 5. This is the moving average example that is useful for short range, and in some company that situation is stable, such as the restaurant and such as something like this. But please okay. After that, you can draw the graph of the moving average. At first, it's better you draw the actual sale and then you draw the forecasting. If you draw the two graphs, you will see there is a gap between it. This gap is error because you forecast. You cannot forecast a real number. You cannot forecast very accurate. Be sure you have error. This is undeniable. In the actual phase, when you draw the graph and when you draw the forecasting number, you will see that there is a gap between these two graphs, between blue and yellow graph. It shows that there is a gap and there is an error. But if you can forecast better, the gap is minimized. When you minimize the gap and when you minimize the error, you can decrease the cost and you can make better decisions for your company. It needs more experience. Trend projection. So there is another tool that is called trend projection. It's very nice method that can be used for most of companies. There is a formula for this. Y equals A plus B multiplied X. This is a linear equation. If you remember in mathematics, this is a linear equation. This is line equation. It's enough here we should calculate this formula, we should achieve this formula. So it's enough that we calculate A and B only. X and Y are variable and A and B are constant or fixed number. If you calculate A and B in this formula, you can use the formula for forecasting in next month. For example, X is demand for example, X is demand for 3 months later. When you want to forecast demand for 3 months later, after calculating A and B, it's enough you put the 3 or replace 3 with X and calculate Y. Y is demand here. In this formula, Y can be demand is the dependent variable. Dependent variable can be demand, can be inflation rate, can be new technology and something like this. And it is the number of months that you want to forecast. If you want to forecast 5 months later or 3 months later, you should replace the X with 5, 6, or 7 if you are forecasting based on month. If you are forecasting based on year, for example, you want to forecast 2 years later, 3 years later, or 5 years later, you can replace X by 2 or 3, but based on year, not based on month. And you can calculate Y. Y is dependent variable. Y is called dependent variable. That is demand, that is inflation rate, or the items that you want to forecast. Okay, how you should calculate A and B? Yes. Now I will give an example to you. Just now, please. Wait 1 minute. Okay. A and B. How we should calculate A and B? There are two formulas for A and B. B equal is sigma xy minus n multiplied x bar y bar divided by sigma x in power of 2 minus n and by x bar in power of 2, and A is calculated by this formula, y bar minus b x bar. Please write down in piece of paper this formula now. Please write down this formula on a piece of paper, because I want to go and give an example in the next slide. Okay, please write down. I will explain you what is x bar, what is y bar, what is n. So in this formula, it's enough that we calculate A and B only. Because y and x are variable, they are not constant. But A and B are two constant numbers. For example, 3, 5, 1000, 250. They are a constant number, not variable. But y and x are variable. You should replace the number by x and change it, and then calculate the different y for different x. Yes, I give an example now. Okay, write down everybody. Okay, can I go next slide? I want to go to next slide to give an example. Okay. For example, a company, an electrical power company. Okay, electrical power company in a power plant. In 2001, the demand for electrical power was 730 kilowatt. The demand for electrical power in 2002 was 79 kilowatt. 2003, the demand for electrical power was 80 kilowatt or megawatt. 2004 was 90. 2005 was 105, 2005 was 142, and 2007 was 122. The manager wants to forecast the demand for the next year. For example, 2008, 2010, 2050, 2100, 2500. Okay, no problem. But what we should do, the process of the forecasting in this method. The method is called least square. On this method is called least square. If you see, it is the least square example. This method is called the least square, or regression method, or linear equation method. All of them are the same. So please be careful and listen to me carefully for process. The we should add a column beside the year. Okay, the 2001 is the first one. It's the year one. 2002 is the year two. 2003 is the year three. Time period. Time period is fixed year, and it's year. Because we want to calculate based on year, not based on months. Okay. 2004 is 4, 2005 is 5, 2005 is 6, and 2007 is 7. Sorry, this is a mistake here. After 2005 is 2006. This is a mistake, sorry. Time period, okay. Time period is X. So we allocate to each year a number. We start from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 5, 7 data. And also we have the demand, the historical demand for all of these 7 years. We have the 2005 demand, 2002 demand, and X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you see, we have right X in the front. It is time period. In order to calculate A and B, we should use this formula. Okay. We want to use this formula to calculate A and B. Okay. At first, we should calculate X power 2. At first, X is 1. 1 in power of 2 is 1. 2 in power of 2 is 4. 3 in power of 2 is 9. Okay. Please see, have a look at the column X power 2. X is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are X here. For our convenience, we allocate an easy and basic number to each year. Okay, X here is year. For example, 2001, 2002. But because the 2001 and 2002 cannot be used directly to this formula, for our more convenience, we allocate a number that begins from 1 to each year. We allocate 1 to 2001. We allocate 2 to 2002. Okay. This number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is X. If you sum this number together, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 is 28. Sigma X equals 28. We have written in under column X, time period. 28 divided by 7, because we have 7 number here. 28 sigma X divided by number of the time period gives you X bar. So X bar equals sigma X divided by number of period. Number of period, and here is 7. Sigma X equals 28. If you calculate 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, you will get the sigma X equals 28. 1 plus 2 is produce 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 produce 10. 10 plus 5 produce 15. 15 plus 6 produce 21, and 21 plus 7 produce at end 28. It is sigma X. Sigma X divided by 7 X bar. Electrical power demand is Y, because this is the thing that we want to forecast. The Y is always the thing that you want to forecast, the demand, the installation rate, and everything like this. For calculating sigma Y, we should sum all of the Y in the column of electrical power demand. 74 plus 79 plus 18 plus 19 plus 105 plus 142 and plus 122 is okay now. As I told you, please answer, please write down this formula. At first I told you, please write down a formula on the piece of paper because I want to give you an example. Okay, if you see the formula, we should need to x bar, y bar, sigma x power 2 and n. Okay, at first you write down this formula because I should explain each of these items for you. Now I'm explaining for you. For example, I told you X is time period. X is the number for your convenience that you allocate to each of the year or each of the month. Here is year. And then when you write this number, you should sum together this number. This is sigma X. Sigma X divided by number of the period, that is 7 years, give you the X bar. X bar is sigma X divided by n. N here is 7 because we have 7 years. Y is demand. Y is the thing that you want to forecast. Electrical power demand is Y for you in the formula. You should sum these numbers together and you will see the sigma Y. Sigma Y is 692. If you want to consider the years such as the 1.5, no problem. You can write, for example, 2001 and 5 and 6 months, okay, and 2002 and 6 months, okay. Then you can allocate to each of the year one number. You can allocate, for example, 2001 1. You can allocate to 2001 and 6 2. No problem. You can write all of the years that you want forecast, that you have data about this. Then you can allocate a number that begins from 1. All of the in time period in each, this is the rule, and this is the same for all of the forecasting. You should allocate a easy number, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4 to each of the year. This is up to you that how you want to write the year, how you want to write the month. No matter, yes, no matter, exactly. And after that, when you calculate the sigma y means you should sum all of them y together. Y here the items that we demanded, that we forecasted. Here in this example, the y is demand and x is a year. We calculate the sigma y, and then for y bar you should calculate sigma y divided by n. N is 7. 692 divided by 7 give you 998.86. That is y bar. So in the formula also we succeeded to calculate y bar. Then in the new column you should calculate the x power 2. X is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of these numbers should be calculated in power 2. 1 in power of 2 produce 1. 2 in power of 2 means 2 multiplied 2 produce 4. 6 in power of 2 means 3 multiplied 2. 3 in power of 2 gives you 9. 4 in power of 2 give you 16. This is a mathematical method. So all of you know what's the meaning of the power of 2. For example, 5 in power of 2 means the 5 multiplied 5. 6 in power of 2 means very good. And 7 in power of 2 means 7 multiplied 7 means 49. When you calculate this, you should calculate the sum of this number. 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16 plus 25 plus 36 plus 49. If you calculate this number and if you calculate the sum of this number, you will gain this number. Sigma x power 2 140. And then you should calculate x multiplied y. X multiplied y means that you should multiply the number in the x column and y or demand in the y column. 1 multiply 74, sorry, reduce 74 in the xy column. Xy is, you should multiply x and y together. 2 multiply 79. 2 in time period column, multiply in 79 in the demand column in 2002, give you reduce 158. If you multiply 3 and 80, give you 240. And if you did the same at the end, you can calculate the xy for each year in each year. If you calculate xy, then you should calculate the sum of these xy together. 74 plus 158 plus 240 plus 360 plus 525, 852, 854. Sigma xy means that you should now we have calculated sigma x. Sigma x was 28. We have calculated x bar. X bar means sigma x divided by 7 is 4. We have calculated sigma y. We have calculated y bar. We have calculated sigma x in power of 2, and we have calculated sigma xy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 numbers now. After calculating these numbers, now we can use the formula. Okay. For calculating b, we use the formula sigma xy minus n multiplied x bar multiplied y bar divided by sigma x in power of 2 minus n x bar power of 2. Okay. Sigma xy we calculated already. 3063. You should replace this number in the formula. Minus n here is 7 because we have 7 years. X bar. We calculated x bar if you remember. X bar become 4. If you have a look at the time period, x bar was 4. How we calculated x bar? Sigma x divided n give you the x bar. Sigma x divided n give you x bar. And y bar. Y bar becomes 98.86. Divided by sigma x in power of 2, we calculated 140 minus n 7 and x power x bar in power of 2. X bar become 4. 4 in power of 2 is 16. If you calculated this formula, the b is 10.54. A. Formula for A was y bar minus the x bar. When you calculated B, now you should calculate A. Y bar was
98.86 minus B. We have already calculated B, 10.54. You should replace this formula. And X bar. X bar was calculated for as much as 4. And if you use this formula and if you calculate this, the result for A is 56.7. Okay, we have already calculated A and B. As I told you, A and B are two constant numbers. Now, in the main formula, we should replace this. The trend line or the least square method gives you a formula for forecasting the electrical power demand for next years. Y bar equal 56.7, that is A plus Bx. B is 10.54 multiply X. This is a formula or this is a linear equation for forecasting electrical power demand. Now you want, for example, you want to forecast the demand for 2008. 2008 is 1 year after 2007. Okay, it's enough you replace X by 8. If you replace X by 8, you can forecast the Y or the demand for electrical power for 2008. If you replace the 9 with X, if you go to 9 instead of X, you can forecast the demand for 2009. Because as I told you, you should allocate a number to each of the year. You cannot use directly the year in the year. For example, you cannot replace the 2007 in X and tell the demand for power is this amount. When you calculate this number, this formula, you replace X by the different number for different years. For example, 10 is 2010, 11 is for 2011, 12 is 4000. It's enough you put the 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and different number in X, and if you calculate this, you can calculate Y. Y is demand for different years or for different numbers. It was okay? Do you understand, everybody? It was very easy and nice for forecasting. Okay, very good. So our purpose and our objective in the trend line method or in the least square method is calculating this linear equation, this formula, y equals a plus b and x. We have not a and b. How we should calculate a and b? A and b are two constant numbers. By use of this formula, sigma xy and x bar, y bar, we should calculate a and b. When you calculate a and b, according to the process that I have explained you, we can gain and we can get the main formula for trend line, that is y equals a plus bx. When you have calculated a and b and then you replace them in this formula, you can calculate the main formula for forecasting. Yes, when you replace x with a different number, for example, when you replace x with 11 or 12, you can calculate the demand for y very easily. For example, if you can calculate, for example, you can replace x by 1. Okay, now At the moment, please do it. Replace x by 1. You can calculate y. Y is equal 56.7 plus 10.54 multiply 1. As I told you, this is a forecasting. Be sure that we have error. The answers are not the same. This is forecasting. As I told you, the forecasting has error. Don't forget this. We have error in all of the methods in forecasting. You cannot gain the accurate number by use of forecasting. But the forecasting can help you to calculate a near number to a number near to a real number. By use of forecasting, you can calculate a number near, not the same, near to real number. And when you calculate a number near to real number, you can make better decision. Imagine you don't want to use the forecasting. Imagine you don't want to. You don't know how many units you should produce. For example, you produce, for example, 100 units. You cannot solve it. You cannot solve it because imagine in each situation you have error. But by passing the time and by increasing your experience, you can decrease the error, but you cannot reach the error to 0. You can just decrease the error. Okay, by passing the time and by increasing your experience, you cannot decrease the error, but you cannot reach the error to 0. Be sure you in every situation you have error, but you cannot minimize very much error, but you cannot reach it to 0. Okay. So you formula. Okay. If you see here again we draw the graph. The blue line is the real demand, and the line that we have calculated now already is the trend line, or if you draw the line by use of the mathematical method, we calculated the line y equals the 56.7 plus 10.54 multiply x. This is the formula of the line equation. If you draw it, it's exactly the line. Okay. If you compare this line and the real demand, you will see they are a little similar. They are near together, but we have error here. Sometimes the error is very little, and sometimes, for example, in 2006, the error is very much. In some points, the error is big, and in some points, the error is very small. But calculating this trend line can help you to minimize your cost. Why? And by use of the forecasting, you can make better decisions in comparison the situation that you don't use the forecasting. And So as I told you, there are two trends: the moving average and the least square or the trend line. Moving average goes for short range forecasting, and it's for useful, and it's useful for the stable situation, and some service companies such as restaurants that are stable and something like this. But in some big companies such as the electrical power and something like this, it's better to use the trend line method that give you the better result. So in the least square or trend line, you can use a linear equation, and after the linear equation, by replacing the time, year or month in x with x, you can calculate y or demand very easily for next years, 2 years later, 3 years later. And don't forget that you should allocate a number to each year, and you cannot use directly years instead of x. You cannot directly replace the years x. For example, you cannot use the 2002 year in x. You cannot say that y equals 56.7 plus 10.54 multiplied, for example, 2002. You cannot tell this. You should allocate a number to it, and you can start from 1 and continue it and go ahead. This is the rule. This is the rule of using this formula. And it was a process of calculating the trend line in order to forecast the demand or everything like this for next year for long range. Okay. The chapter today was about forecasting, and it has finished. Okay, how was the lesson today? It was useful. How was chapter today? It was easy, and it was okay. Do you understand the content of the chapter today? Okay. I sent you the link of downloading book. You can download the book and study more. If you have any question, don't hesitate. Send to me email. I will answer your question about the lesson. Sure. If anybody has not received my email, please send to me email to remind me. Okay. Talat has finished has finished now, and I wish a good night for all of you. And if you have not any question, if you don't have question, please let me say. Please let me finish the class now, and have a nice time. Have a nice night, and goodbye, everybody. Don't forget, do your exercise and study, case study next week. Okay, have a great time, everybody. Have a nice time. Goodbye and good night.